Whoa, hey, what's going on here? I don't know why you clicked this video, but I'm here to tell you about a little game. Loop Hero is a deck building roguelike where you essentially play as both Dungeon Master and the main protagonist. It's published by Devolver Digital, and if you know anything about them, then you know that they have a pretty good track record. Your hero is essentially on autopilot and will wander along this procedurally generated path, and it's your job to give him something to do. So like raising a real human child, if you give them everything they want and make their life easy, then they'll grow up to be a social media influencer. You need to put them through enough shit early on in life so that they turn out well-rounded, just like the rest of us. You'll need the right mix of struggle in order to mold them into a quick, efficient murder machine, while not throwing too much at them at once so they don't immediately die. And if you play your cards right, then when they grow up big and strong, they'll bring you this stuff back by the boatload. The world is gone. Sun, gone. Crown, gone. Other people, gone. Everything is gone. For some reason, stuff tends to stick around because you have MC plot armor. Quite lucky for us. What's not so lucky is that we also happen to be the guy that basically has to do everything in order to rebuild the world. You can build some structures that will provide you useful bonuses and items, but ultimately, you're going to be the one who has to carry the entire team on your back. The game is also a deck builder, with you choosing which tiles and skills to bring to every expedition. There are also these goal tiles that will drastically change the way you play. There are many different ways that the cards can interact with each other, and a myriad of enemies that you will probably never even see. But in the end, you will probably just end up building a deck that has this building that gives you more max health for every enemy with the soul you kill. There are also a number of skills to choose from for every class, with the ability to unlock more from each of the chapter bosses. After killing enough enemies, it will fill up this bar during expeditions, and you will be able to select one of 3 randomly chosen skills. But honestly, I just kinda stuck with the default skills and everything turned out alright. One of the few aspects of this game that you have control over is the equipment that your character can wear. Higher rarity items will give you extra stat points in other areas. However, this comes at the cost of lowering the amount of stats that it would otherwise give you. If this sounds confusing, it's because I'm not very good at my job. But here's an example. A common tier item is going to give me much more damage than this rarer item of equal level. Essentially, the item sacrifices the amount of damage that it would do in order to give you bonuses in a different stat. And this problem only gets worse the rarer an item gets. Sometimes, the decision to switch will be easy, almost a no-brainer. But what will most likely happen, if you're me, is that you will continue to use low-level gear just because I can't get rid of this item until I basically get the same item but better. And let me say this now, that is never gonna fucking happen. Just get rid of the item. Come on, we'll do it together. On 3. 1, 2, 3. It doesn't get any easier with time. We'll get past this travesty, and get ready to do this every 30 fucking seconds. The music in this game also kinda goes off. I mean, like, holy shit!
Lick my balls.
God damn, that's some good music. But I mean, it really should be. There isn't that much stuff to look at, so I sure hope that they make a bumpin' soundtrack. A wise man once told me it's not about how much is in a game, it's about what you do with it. He also said many other things, such as, did you know Hamoud backwards is still pronounced Hamoud? Safe to say, I don't talk to him very much anymore. But games that look like this tend to be extremely complicated and require you to have at least 2 PhDs and would be ideal if you had genius level IQ to go along with it. But not this game. It looks simple because it is simple. Your character will just keep walking around on this generated path. I guess you could say that it keeps looping on the path for the entirety of the game. You go out on expeditions in order to gather resources for your camp, in order to upgrade buildings that give you a wide range of bonuses. Of course, harder chapters give you more resources, along with a higher resource cap. There is a cap on resources, so you can't just infinitely farm the first chapter while you go to bed or go make a sandwich. Although, the final chapter of the game has no resource cap. However, it is still the most difficult chapter. But that's not stopping you from doing many other things. Take me for example. I'm writing up this script and listening to a bunch of SCP lore while my guy is busy clapping cheeks. Sometimes I also decide to catch up on some anime, and while I'm wondering if watching this makes me gay or not, my guy is busy committing genocide. There are 4 bosses in this game. Basically, they are Sans from Undertale, Is This Best Girl, Lord of the Hunt, and the final boss, the Emperor of Mankind, the strongest force against the tide of chaos, known as the Anathema by demons and chaos gods alike, and the man who has protected the Empire for over 10,000 years.
Die, scum! No prisoners for the Emperor!
Luckily, the bosses aren't as simple as get strong and clean house. I guess they can be that simple, but you have to be really strong. There are also a couple of secret bosses, but they're secret, so I can't really tell you about them. Except, I'm gonna tell you about this one, because it's a frog. And I like frogs. I just think they're neat, and I love their weird faces. If you fill out the entire map with swamps, then this boss will spawn, and this good boy only has 2 health. Not terribly difficult, until you realize that he has something like 99% dodge rate, and every hit is reduced to 1 damage. But this changes nothing. Frogs are still top tier, and you can't convince me otherwise.
Change the world. My final message. Goodbye.
If you're looking to get into the higher loop levels, then you'll want to finish off your camp. The real strat for the camp is to spam mud huts after getting all of the other important structures. The more mud huts you have, the more you can equip things such as furniture and food. As said before, the strategy that you'll most likely use is the building that will give you health for every enemy with a soul killed. But I also recommend bringing the battlefield card. Every time you kill an enemy within range of one, it will have a 10% chance of becoming a ghost. And if that ghost rolls that 10% chance, it will become a ghost of a ghost. And if that rolls the 10% chance, then it will become prime matter. This thing will drop a card on death, but not just any card. It will either randomly drop any 3 cards or drop a random gold card. And the cards that it can drop can be any card in the game, not just the ones that you have currently selected in your deck. The gold cards are extremely powerful, so getting more than one of them will kind of break the game. After that, you really just want to place thickets and rivers down kind of like this. And I say thickets, not forests. The thickets are way better. And unless you want to wait for oblivions for half a day, then I recommend to place down only thickets. Be careful if you're playing the Necromancer, however, because I almost softlocked my game during a run. The Necromancer doesn't do very much damage with his skeletons and has pretty great sustain. So, if you face an enemy with also a high amount of sustain, your only choices are to wait it out and hope that you can kill them, or retreat and take the massive hit to resources collected. Or, if you get good map generation, you can do what this guy did, and fill the path with ruins while preventing any enemies from spawning at all. Ruins give you a random resource when walked through, and since no enemies can spawn, you can actually go make a sandwich while your guy infinitely farms. But Once you get a good amount of resources, just go back to the camp and use the alchemy system to synthesize the stuff you actually need, and then mass craft tables. The game has 3 distinct classes: the warrior, the rogue, and the necromancer, and each have different playstyles, equipment slots, and ways they interact with various tiles. For instance, take the outpost. When within range, it will supply you with a friendly guard that will assist you in killing any enemies, with a small cost that they will take any yellow and orange tier equipment unless you are a rogue, since rogues collect trophies that are traded for equipment when you enter the camp. Or, if you're a necromancer, then they simply won't help you at all, and instead will proceed to fire arrows at everybody on the battlefield. There are plenty of different interactions and lines of dialogue for the different classes, so I would highly encourage you to give each class a whirl. But the TLDR version of each class is that the warrior is basically a brick wall, the rogue attacks really fucking fast, and the necromancer summons these skeletons to do all this work for him. Every tile you place down will slowly fill up this bar until the boss of said chapter spawns, and once you beat them, you can either continue running around this loop, or you can move on to the next chapter. If you choose to retreat while not at a campsite, or happen to die, then you only get to keep 30% of your collected resources. So do try your best not to die and lose all of the shit you spent so long gathering. These resources also happen to be made out of fragments, and you will kinda need to collect about 10 fragments in order to turn them into viable resources. Kinda like how you used to mash bits of Play-Doh together, your character will just kinda mash them into a chunk of usable material. I do have a couple of complaints, however. This game really feels like it should be an idle game, just because it takes forever to get through the loops, especially once you fill all the tiles with enemies, and especially so if you use the necromancer. But who knows, maybe I'm just an idiot and made the game much harder and much slower for myself. But if you're not paying attention to the game, then you'll miss any item upgrades and important tiles that might show up. And it doesn't take too much before you die and lose the majority of your resources. Most of the time in this game will be spent placing tiles, changing equipment, and killing enemies. And while this is where the meat of the game is, it does get a little boring after a while, and there isn't very much incentive to keep playing the game after the final boss, unless you want to finish off your base. Just know that is going to take forever. But I'm a sucker for well-made pixel-based games, and there is quite a lot of optional stuff to do, like research all the tiles, enemies, and furniture in the encyclopedia. Also, finding all the different dialogue options, since those are also logged, and there's always achievements if you care about those. I give this game how long it took me to Photoshop all of the stupid shit in this video over how long it took me to kill the final boss of the game. How'd I do? I spent about 2 days learning After Effects in order to make that 15-second AMV style edit, and honestly, I don't even want to tell you how long that thumbnail and the warrior took. I spend so much time on the little 5-second jokes that I've completely missed the wave, and the meme is already dead. But fuck it, I still think it's funny. I even got a new mic, and holy crap, it sounds way better than the old one. Most people have probably clicked off the video by now, but if you made it this far, drop a comment letting me know what you thought about everything and what I should look at next. And thank you for sticking around till the end.